Good evening. Hope you all had a nice Tuesday. Today the market was pretty quiet, but did experience a sell-off as the market came into the close. The Nasdaq closed lower for the first time in 3 days, as it fell 0.81%. The S&P 500 gained a light 0.17%, and the Dow gained 0.6%. Last night after the market closed, a Chinese foreign ministry spokeswoman said, quote, "Some in the U.S., driven by ideological bias, have been sparing no effort to paint China as a rival or even adversary, smear and attack China, and encircle and contain its development. The U.S. is pressing the accelerator to trash China-U.S. relations while China is putting the brakes on. Certain U.S. politicians are so irresponsible that they will say whatever needs to be said to make China a target. The world has already seen through the U.S. playbook of fabricating narratives to deflect attention. Possessed by such evil, they are on the brink of losing their mind." End quote. These comments were made after the U.S. has accused China of a list of acts such as human rights abuses, intellectual property theft, and espionage. The relationship between the two superpowers continues to deteriorate. It looks doubtful that the two governments will be able to reach any deal past their Phase 1 trade deal before the presidential election comes in November. The Department of Justice did take action against China today, as they charged 2 Chinese nationals of stealing trade secrets and hacking into firms that are working on coronavirus vaccines. According to the indictment, the 2 defendants have stolen terabytes of information from not only the United States, but other countries such as Australia, Germany, Japan, and the United Kingdom, just to name a few. John Demers, Assistant Attorney General for National Security, said, quote, "China has now taken its place alongside Russia, Iran, and North Korea in that shameful club of nations that provide a safe haven for cyber criminals in exchange for those criminals being on call to work for the benefit of the state, here to feed the Chinese Communist Party's insatiable hunger for American and other non-Chinese companies' hard-earned intellectual property, including COVID-19 research." Russia denied all claims made against them, which said that they have been attacking academic and pharmaceutical entities in the West. Russia Finance Minister Anton Simonov said, quote, "There are no hackers working for the Russian government, so our government does not consider any actions by hackers, nor does it coordinate them. I can reiterate that from our point of view, no hackers were given any special task of accessing pharma companies' websites." End quote. These tensions between the U.S. and other governments will be interesting to watch, especially as the presidential election continues to creep closer. However, the United Kingdom did not believe the statement made by Russia. In a highly anticipated intelligence report, the UK has called for immediate action to get rid of Russian influence in their country and even requested a further look into their role in the 2016 Brexit referendum. The report said, quote, "Russia is a highly capable cyber actor, employing organized crime groups to supplement its cyber skills. Russia carries out malicious cyber activity in order to assert itself aggressively, for example, attempting to interfere in other countries' elections. It appears that Russia considers the UK one of its top Western intelligence targets." End quote. The report also noted, quote, "There has been credible open-source commentary suggesting that Russia undertook influence campaigns in relation to the Scottish independence referendum in 2014." End quote. On top of this, the report claimed, quote, "We believe we know with reasonable confidence that Russian actors were involved in trying to interfere with the 2019 election, principally through trying to spread and amplify online illegally obtained leaked documents relating to the U.S.-UK free trade negotiations." End quote. The Kremlin has already denied these claims, saying, quote, "Russia has nothing to do with these attempts. We do not accept such accusations nor the latest groundless allegations of interference in 2019 elections." End quote. They added, quote, "We do not interfere at all. We do not see any point in interference because for us, whether it will be the Conservative Party or Labour Party at the head of this country, We'll try to settle relations and to establish better relations than now." End quote. The EU was able to come to an agreement on a new fiscal stimulus for the 27 countries. The new stimulus calls for 750 billion euros, or $857 billion, to be distributed among the various countries and sectors. The EU also agreed that net debt issuance will end in 2026, and that they will repay all the new debt by 2058. It looks like leaders in the EU were willing to compromise to help their economic recovery. Hopefully, this will set a precedent for the United States, as the fiscal stimulus is beginning to run dry. Job recovery is beginning to slow and even reverse in some states, as virus cases surge and some businesses are being forced to shut down. Note that this data is only for small and mid-sized businesses and is not a true representation of the whole economy. Regardless, if these numbers are able to give us a glimpse into the future, this could serve as a blow to the recovery optimism that has been rampant on Wall Street. Deutsche Bank said, quote, "While most forecasters likely anticipate the pace of labor improvement to slow somewhat from the heady progress in May and June, a more severe slowing or even a reversal of recent labor gains could materially impact second-half growth estimates." End quote. No one performed as well as oil and gas, as they blew every other sector out of the water due to its daily gain of more than 5.9%. Financials and basic materials also gained close to 1%. Tech experienced a bit of a sell-off, as investors view current valuations as stretched. Value stocks performed the best today, as the market seems like it is attempting to rotate out of the stretched tech names. All sizes of growth were in the red, while the large caps experienced the biggest sell-off. Occidental Petroleum gained the most in the S&P 500 today, as shares gained nearly 11%. Energy names surged as a whole, as oil prices hit 4-month highs. The stock that gained the next most today that wasn't an energy company was Under Armour, as shares gained 7.03%. The gain comes after a Raymond James analyst reiterated his $12 price target, which implies 20% upside. The analyst said, quote, "While we acknowledge that there is hair on the Under Armour story, we believe shares offer a favorable risk-reward profile at current levels, and there is significant upside potential with any good news, or simply less bad news." End quote. The biggest loser in the S&P 500 today was FirstEnergy Corporation, which had its shares fall nearly 17%. This move was due to Ohio House Speaker Larry Householder being arrested due to a racketeering case that involves FirstEnergy. Vertex Pharmaceuticals was the other loser today, but it only lost 3.86%, which looks like a fantastic day compared to FirstEnergy. It is not clear why Vertex had its shares fall, but the company is up more than 70% compared to a year ago. Getting into earnings, we'll start off with Coca-Cola, ticker symbol KO, which is the immensely popular food and beverage company. This morning's earnings were mixed for Coca-Cola. They beat non-GAAP EPS by a slim cent, as they finished the quarter with a gain of 42 cents per share. Revenue was down 28% on a yearly basis, but they still only missed estimates by a small $60 million, as they finished the second quarter with revenue of $7.2 billion. Gross margin was lower than expectations, however operating margins did come in above. Coca-Cola did withhold from issuing full-year fiscal 2020 guidance due to the disruptions caused by the pandemic, but did note that July has seen improving trends. Shares started this morning in the green, and shares ultimately ended the day up 2.34%. Next up, we have Lockheed Martin, ticker symbol LMT, which is an American aerospace, defense, arms, security, and advanced technologies company that sells their products worldwide. Lockheed's earnings this morning were very positive, as they reported a double beat. Non-GAAP EPS came in at a gain of $6.13 per share for the quarter, which topped estimates by a large 43 cents. Revenue also beat estimates by a large $1.03 billion, as revenue grew 12.4% on a yearly basis and finished the quarter at $16.22 billion. Lockheed also grew their backlog orders by $6.3 billion and grew their operating margin. As was expected, investors were ecstatic, as shares started the morning up 2.8% after the earnings report. Ultimately, shares ended the day up 2.62%. Next, we have Philip Morris, ticker symbol PM, which is a large cigarette and tobacco company. This morning's earnings also beat EPS and revenue estimates. Non-GAAP EPS came in at $1.29 per share, which beat estimates by a respectable 19 cents. Revenue was down 13.6% on a yearly basis as the company recorded quarterly revenue of $6.65 billion. This still managed to beat revenue estimates by $110 million. On top of this, they did also beat on operating income estimates. To add even more positive news, the company released their full-year profit guidance, which came in ahead of expectations. Their CEO said, quote, "While further volatility and restrictions are clearly possible, and the pandemic's economic impact is difficult to quantify, we have improving visibility on the trajectory of our business for the remainder of the year." End quote. Shares started this morning in the green by more than 3% and ended the day up an even higher 4.16%. Next up, we have United Airlines, ticker symbol UAL, which is a large airline company. United had mixed earnings this evening as they missed non-GAAP EPS by a small 6 cents, but still recorded a loss of $9.31 per share this quarter. Revenue was down a predictably horrid 87% on a yearly basis, but they still recorded revenue of $1.48 billion and beat estimates by $80 million. In total, United Airlines recorded a loss of $1.6 billion. Earlier this month, United warned that 36,000 employees' jobs are at risk once federal payroll support ends in October. The carrier has slashed thousands of flights and parked hundreds of planes to cut its cash burn. Currently, shares are up more than 1%, but it remains volatile. Next up, we have Texas Instruments, ticker symbol TXN, which is an American tech company that designs and manufactures semiconductors and various integrated circuits. This evening's earnings were certainly positive as they reported a double beat. Non-GAAP EPS came in at $1.15 per share, which topped estimates by a nice 23 cents. Revenue was down 11.7% on a yearly basis, but still beat estimates by $290 million, as the company recorded quarterly revenue of $3.24 billion. To put a cherry on top of their earnings, their operating income topped expectations. Currently, shares are flat after their earnings release, as investors wait to see what management says on their earnings call. Lastly, we have Snap, ticker symbol Snap, which is the owner of immensely popular social media app Snapchat. At first glance, Snap's earnings are good, but after a further look, they do not paint a pretty picture due to poor user metrics. Non-GAAP EPS came in at a loss of 9 cents per share, which beat estimates by a cent. Revenue was up 17%, as they recorded revenue of $454.16 million, which beat estimates by $9.64 million. Daily active users also rose 17% on a yearly basis, but this was slightly worse than expectations. Their net loss also increased to $326 million, compared to a loss of $255 million a year ago. Currently, shares are down 5.85% after the disappointing earnings. That is all that I have for tonight. As always, I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll see you all again tomorrow.